My friends and I bought empanadas and alcohol, but we did not buy sunscreen. In the span of 5 days, I was so cold I needed a jacket, and I also got a really, really bad sunburn. Yeah, so I am here with some tips, tricks, things to know, and places to go for you for your trip to San Francisco. Stay tuned. So, you get to San Francisco. First, you have to battle the BART stations, which are basically like the subway metro stations that run through the city. And I know it sounds dramatic, but if you're like me and you just feel awkward about stuff, or maybe if you have anxiety, the BART station was like my first challenge. I'm telling you this so you don't look silly in front of the BART station, especially if you have people waiting behind you and they already know what to do. Most subway stations, you make your selections and then you put your, payment information in, your credit card, debit card, and then, you get your ticket. You go to a BART machine, and I don't know if it was just this one or all of them. Last year when I went to San Francisco, I remember I had the same issue, and I think I ended up taking the Cal train from Millbrae to San Francisco instead because I couldn't figure out the BART machine. You need to insert your payment information first, your credit card or debit card, and then make your selections on the screen. And I know that seems like, okay, well, duh, like self-explanatory, but I'm so used to machines where they, have you pick out where you want to go first, and then you get your card, or it might tell you, hey, put your card in. This machine told you nothing, so they just had you standing there looking dumb. But you go on you find where you need to go. There's usually a little chart near the BART machine. Figure out how much it is. Put that amount onto your BART card, and then, select that amount onto the screen, and then they're going to give you a BART card. Usually near the BART machine, there is a card with destinations and it tells you how much it is to go where you need to go. So you need to put that amount, the correct amount, onto your BART card. I would suggest putting on a little more just to make sure, you have enough. It is reloadable, and in order to keep track of how much money you have left on the card, there's a little column on the side that shows you your remaining balance. So that's really cool. So I used that to get into the city. And then I went straight to my hostel. If you've seen my Los Angeles day life video, then you'll know that I kind of did a detailed tour of the hostel I was staying at. It was really nice. It cost me about $50, and it's the same chain, same name I'm staying at for San Francisco. However, this one was more like $60, $65. So prices are up there for hostels. The average hostel I was seeing in San Francisco was running from $30 to $40, and that was the more shady, out of town, on the outskirts kind of thing. And then $50 to $60 to $70 to $80 if you're looking for a hostel. Yes, these are shared rooms. So Cali is expensive. Any big city you go to, I'm starting to learn, it's going to definitely cost you. As far as San Francisco and the vibe itself, it is a really nice city. I'm getting lots of vintage and retro vibes. It's kind of like a vintage New York in a little bit. However, there are a lot of steep hills. Yo, these hills are no joke. I know it's known for its hills, but I'm on my way to meet a friend to go to the cable car, right? But guess what? The cable cars go downhill, which means if you want to get to the cable car stop, you have to go uphill. The hills are so steep that people actually have to turn their wheels when they park, just so their car doesn't accidentally roll down the street. Be prepared to walk. The architecture is beautiful. There are a lot of cool different neighborhoods. My personal favorite was the one I went to last year, which was the Mission District, which is like a very artistic district, lots of bars and places to eat. There were like little Spanish bakeries and stuff, so I enjoyed myself there. However, I stayed in a different area this year. It was kind of near the Tenderloin. Now that said, you want to talk to locals and figure out, do your research and figure out where you're staying, just like any city, because I went out on a pub crawl with my hostel and they were saying to watch out for areas like the Tenderloin. You have to be careful because just like LA, unfortunately, there are a lot of homeless people on the streets in San Francisco, and usually they're not bothering anybody. They just have unfortunate situations and circumstances. However, they are mixed in with other crowds that might not be as, harmless. So you just have to watch out because you might walk down you know, a street that seems really nice and pretty and gorgeous, and then, you know, they're just shady characters. But not everyone, like I said. Just make sure you're doing your research on the different neighborhoods as well, as far as where you're staying. Sadly, there are people sleeping on the streets with nowhere to go. If you're booking a hostel or a place to stay, it might add up. As far as getting around, I don't think it was too expensive, but just food and nightlife, I think, cost me the most, wanting to do things. Getting around, I walked a lot. I actually did use the bus, and I also went on a cable car for the first time. I cannot believe I was in San Francisco before and I did not do this. I know it might seem like a touristy thing to do, but it's so much fun. You absolutely have to ride a cable car, and if you can, try to hang off it. You're able to sit inside the cable car or grab onto, like, you know, a holder on the outside and hang out. And when like another cable car passes you by, or other trucks, they tell you lean in left, lean in right, and you have to like push your body up against the... It's crazy. It was definitely an interesting experience. I used the app to buy my ticket, so you can either buy like a one-time pass for the cable car, or you can get what's called the passport, which is, I believe, all day you can ride the cable cars as much as you want. And then my friend also claims that it includes the buses. So the interesting thing about San Francisco's transportation, they seem to have a very lax trust system, because no one was really checking tickets. All I did when I went on the cable car and the buses was go on the app and activate the ticket, and it just said on my phone like, hey, it's activated, you're good to go ride buses and cable cars. No actual person had checked to see that the ticket was valid or anything like that. So you either go to a cable car bus stop or a regular bus stop, and people just let you on. They don't really ask any questions. Last year I had a traveling friend who was hilarious. We were walking everywhere, and then we decided to take a bus to the Golden Gate Bridge. And so we just hopped on the bus, and I was like, you know, just vibing with it. And then I was like, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to pay at some point? And I asked him about it, and he's like, I've kind of just been hopping on, and you know, if they ask about it, I just say I didn't know. He was one of my overseas friends, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So they seem very lax on it. I'm not saying don't pay for tickets. Don't come at me saying like, oh no, I'm encouraging that. But I found it very strange that they weren't checking. I don't know how they make any money. That said, if you do want to actually buy a ticket, like I said, go on the app. All right, we're heading to my hostel because I hate when I get to a new city and I have all my bags and I look like a tourist. Y'all, we're in San Francisco and there's pride stuff everywhere. My hostel has one of those cool old-fashioned elevators. I've always wanted to go on one of these. Hey y'all, what's up? I have the room to myself. It's similar to the one I stayed in Los Angeles, so if you're curious at the kind of places I stay at, just check out my Los Angeles video. I am so tired, and for some reason I'm really dizzy, so I'm gonna go chill for a little bit and sit and eat. And there's so much going on. I'm really excited. I'm in like this pride group chat for events this weekend, and then I also started some plans for tomorrow, and then my hostel's doing stuff, and they already, you know, set up like a pub crawl for tonight. There's just a lot going on. So yeah, stay tuned. I love this hostel because it has priorities: condoms, seaweed, snacks, Pocky, whatever you need. There's this cute little lounge, and they also serve breakfast, which is really helpful in the morning. Now, places to actually go. There's so much to do. You can take a ferry to Alcatraz, you can rent a bike and go over the Golden Gate Bridge, or you can go to Sausalito, which I heard is like a really nice neighborhood. You can go see the Painted Ladies and see the view there. I actually did none of that. I had such an impactful and busy weekend in San Francisco that I was not able to do most of the stuff I just named. However, I heard there's popular stuff to do. I did, however, on my first trip to San Francisco, go see that big red bridge everyone's always raving about. It is very beautiful, but sometimes the weather is foggy. If you're coming from the San Francisco side, you can actually cross under the bridge and go up this hiking path and get a different view. Please put on sunscreen and bring a jacket. A lot of people are surprised that San Francisco gets cold. much colder than Los Angeles. However, during the day, during like prime hours around 1, 2 p.m., I went in June, by the way, I got burned. I got toasted and roasted. I looked like a pretzel bun. This is the face of someone who knows they messed up. It was bad, and I'm so sorry for the damage I did to my skin. But yes, I needed a jacket and sunscreen on this trip just because the weather was, it was pleasant, but at points it was cold, especially at night if you're going out to party or anything like that. And then during the day, you're basically getting baked. And it was worse because I just got this new highlighter. If any of you have seen my Orlando party video, I was excited because I was like, guys, look, I got like new highlighter I can wear out, tonight. Look all... I put on the highlighter, and then we were spending most of the day at Dolores Park, which I also covered in my Pride video. It was part of the events going on, and it basically cooked me. It was basically a catalyst to help cook my face, and basically my entire nose and this whole area burned, and then my shoulders also got some damage. So please bring sunscreen and a jacket. That's about it. Make sure you check out my nightlife video and day life video for some really cool coverage from this trip as well. And thank you all for watching. I will see you on the next video. Bye.